Raise your hand if you've ever been busy. Raise your hand if you've ever got tired and feel like you just need a couple days off. Most people would have both hands up right now. That's our world, fast-paced and income-driven. That's why we get caught up in our own lives so often, and that's why it's understandable when most people don't focus on worries that aren't their own. So what makes someone become a humanitarian? Someone whose whole life focuses on the welfare of other humans.
When you go back and you see kids that were living on the streets, kids had no structure, they had no routine, people who had nothing, they didn't have meals. When you see that all of a sudden they're waking up, they have structure, they have something to do, they have a meal in their belly, their life changes completely. They, like I said, their self-esteem changes, their self-worth, their ability to know who they are in the world and what they have the potential of becoming. You know, to give that hope, to give that dream, and then to watch people actually use that to do good for themselves and others it's amazing. It becomes an addiction.
And with Serena's help, we'll find the meaning of life to a humanitarian.
Friday, everyone. Your real worth isn't defined by your net worth. What makes you valuable is how you use what you have been given. All of us have gifts. Make sure you're making the most of yours. Have an amazing Friday.
It is now the bottom of the hour. I'm excited to welcome Nancy Matthews to our program today. Nancy is an author of a book. I'm going to go ahead and highlight it in the carousel for you guys. There it is, The One Philosophy. We're going to talk to Nancy not only about the re-release of the book, but also what it's been like for her to share the message with all of you guys. Nancy, great to have you on with us.
Hello, hello, hello. So happy to be here.
How are you doing? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. You look like you're somewhere else.
I I am at my girlfriend's in Woodstock, Illinois.
Oh, okay.
So all sorts of exciting things are going on this week.
Okay, so tell us. I love exciting.
Well, nope. First, introduce yourself.
Oh, we're back to that again.
Yeah.
So well, you haven't even said anything to me in the last 5 weeks.
I know. And have you introduced yourself?
No, we just been having a good conversation. So I
know,
that,
but you got it once a month, I guess. Then
once a month, we'll get better. Well, my name is Barbara J Beckley, and I am a purpose, visibility, and social media strategist. And I just help people make sure that people know who they are, what they're doing, and how important they are to the world. And I do that by TV streaming shows, one-on-one interviews, social media world, because I know that could be a jungle at times. And I'm there to kind of just, maneuver you into that. So that's what I do.
Yeah. And now the real why I want you to introduce yourself, because I have a new introduction.
Oh, look at you. Okay. Oh, that's okay.
I mean, let's tell it like it is. Anyways, so my name's Barbara Ellison, and I am the founder of the Wellness Playroom.
Oh.
And the Wellness Playroom is all about so much more than just not being sick. It is about being healthy and happy and just being the best as you age, to be your best version of yourself and to have the physical and mental wellness and financial wellness to go into the next half of your life. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, wow. I just realized that, and today I was going to talk about abundance. Mm-hmm. And one of the things is that I am absolutely so abundant. But why is that? And so often we don't look at the things, and so I looked up, because that's one of the things, I'm on a mission to make happiness the norm rather than the exception, to live a happy, healthy, financially free, abundant life. So what does it mean to be abundant? So I looked up the word. It is the abundance is the situation in which there is more than enough of something. Down to the nitty gritty, it can be anything. So what area? So it brought to mind, what area do I want to be abundant in? Well, I want to be abundant in blessings. So like here I am. I'm in a different location. I'm an hour away from my home. I have a different surrounding. I'm visiting my girlfriend's, a beautiful home, but we've got dogs running around. My sound is slightly different for me. And yet, you know what? I am loving it. And that is this loving your life, no matter where you are, what you're doing. And I have to admit, this morning I woke up and I went, oh yeah, what's going to happen? How am I going to do the show? What if the dogs bark? And then I went, Barbara, life happens. But you are still, the thing is, I still have the ability to do this show from a totally different location. And you know what? If we have a dog bark, oh well.
And we always do, just like the cat, because that's part of our show now.
No tripod today. We might have other dogs.
So we have dogs this time. So you never know. Right. This might change up. But that's okay. That's okay. Right.
But I think what happens to people is that they're so concerned with perfection. Mm-hmm. That they don't look at how abundance of something. So like with me, the abundant today for me was to be able to have my computer in front of me. I'm sitting at their dining room table and I'm still able to do this show. That to me symbolizes, for me right at this second, being abundant. That I was able to come up to my girlfriend's, and she's going to be watching my dog, which is the next part of why I'm excited about the week. But she's going to be watching my dog for me. And wow, to be able to do that. Mm-hmm. Back in the day, have you ever heard of the Robert McCormick It's a beautiful place. It's called Cantigny, and it's out here near about 45 minutes from me.
Okay.
Anyways, but the McCormick family of the Chicago McCormicks.
Oh, okay. It take out of Chicago. It takes probably maybe 45 minutes to get to the mansion.
Okay.
That
Back in the day, it took 3 days.
Why did it take? Why? What happened?
3 days, because that's what that was. There was no roads. There was no cars. There was, it was
back in those days.
way back. And they do a whole thing out there. We have no clue of how abundant we are.
See, and that reminds us, like you said,
And
Barbara,
it's
really reminds
things
us.
like that remind us. And in fact, Dave, where we're here, we were talking about this morning of they went camping a couple of weeks ago, and it was like, oh yeah, they camp and they have a trailer. I said, oh, that's my idea of camping. But it brought up to the memory of when I was a kid. We would go out to my grandparents, and we had an outhouse and a pump to pump water.
Oh my God.
We loved, I mean, I'm aging myself here. Let's tell it like it is. But we went out there and we loved to pump the water. We thought that was great.
It was cool.
The outhouse, not so much.
That's so great. You bringing back memories, because when I was younger, and my family on my dad's side, basically, every year we used to do just, we do an outing, a picnic for the whole family. So they all to come together, and we did the forest preserves. So I used to, now I'm not too keen on it because I'm not really an outdoor person, but when you're a child and when your parents bring you somewhere, you can't sit there and say, oh, by the way, I don't want to be in the forest preserves. Because, it's like you there, and you got to deal with it, right? With all your cousins and everybody else.
Yeah.
But the nice part about that, I'm glad that I look back on it, that I'm glad I didn't get so whiny about it when I was little, is because in the forest reserve, they had the pump.
They had the pump.
I mean, the old, like you said, what you're talking about.
The old-fashioned pump.
Outhouse, which a lot of times, a lot of us didn't want to go in there. We're not going to get into detail on why.
No, yes.
And for some reason, I don't know if they still have this, where we would like go far out, like in the forest preserve, it's like this big old opening, and then it's way in the back, it's like a forest, right? And then there was a little trail, and it would lead you into like different places within the forest preserve.
Within the forest preserve.
And you would see like little, this water thing. I mean, it was nice. I mean, you were going through the forest, but it was like, it still gave you a certain
civilized.
Yeah, to a certain extent. I mean, there was some places where we were curious as children, and we would go off the path.
Yeah. One time, my husband and I got lost in a forest.
Yeah, we did. One time, we did a few times.
And it was like, we were starting to get, and thank the Lord that we were together. I don't know what I would have done if I had been lost by myself. But we just kept saying, okay, we're going to come to a road eventually, or a path eventually. And the funny thing is, we didn't even realize that we were off the path. And isn't that a thing in life too? Yeah. Sometimes we don't realize we're off the path that we're supposed to be on.
And we can be on there for a long period of time and don't even realize it. It's
not even realize it.
Good analogy, what you just mentioned, because I'm going back to where when we went to forest preserves, where we got a few times we went off the path. Yeah. We got curious, or we, like you said, we didn't know we was off the path. And then we were way on the other side of where our family was, where they were having the forest. I don't even know how we got. It was just weird. I was like, how did we get
here?
Way over somewhere else.
Right. Yeah. And yet how many people do that in their life? All of a sudden they wake up and go, how did I get here? Right. And that's one of the things that, like I deal with, people that are getting older, like as a midlife mentor. And you hear about that, and I talk to the people that all of a sudden they wake up and they went, yike, I'm 50 years old. I hate what I'm doing. I dread Monday morning. my body is starting to fall apart. I'm not liking what I'm seeing in the mirror, because the wrinkles are starting to show. And so so like with me, I work with the young at heart adults who want to, slow down that aging process to get back the more youthful.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so fun when you see the light bulb go on that, you know what, you might have woken up here today, but doesn't mean you have to stay here tomorrow.
No, nope.
Change it. What, do you love what you're doing? It's like the I don't remember who said it first. It was like when you get the corporate executives that they have climbed the corporate ladder, and then all of a sudden they've realized that their ladder is parked up against the wrong building. I can't remember who I heard that from first.
That's another good analogy.
But that's exactly what happens. What are you doing? And it's like, oh yeah, this is not, and over these past few, even over these last 2 years that you and I have been working together and doing this show, almost 2 years, people, we're so excited. But I will tell on you one thing. It's 2 years in June, not May. And I think I told you May. It's June.
Well, we adjusted it. You told me June.
June. Okay.
Yep.
I was like, duh, senior moment. One of the things I always tell people, I don't mind having senior moments. I mean, they're delightful. I just don't particularly like being caught in them.
Which is the problem. It's okay to have them, but I don't want nobody to notice that I did.
I don't want everybody to notice them.
Sometimes you can't get around it.
And you just have to, oh well, yeah, total senior moment. But it's so funny because then sometimes you get somebody that's younger and they go, ooh, senior moment?
Yeah.
What's my excuse? I'm not a senior yet.
Yeah, that's a whole nother
story.
With them,
But anyway, so yeah. And now I've totally, senior moment. I've totally lost where I was going with this story.
Well, you're talking about anniversary. We know it's June. So I know
the anniversary is June. Yeah, before that. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. So it'll come back to me. And now I don't worry about them. But anyways, so why I'm at my girlfriend's this week. Tomorrow, she has a cochlear implant. And so which is just absolutely amazing. But every 6 months we have to go because her brain is learning. It has been a fascinating subject. Her brain is learning how to hear with her cochlear. Wow. You have to teach your brain how. So every 6 months we go. We're down to every 6 months. We were going it started out like every week, and then every 2 weeks, and then every month, and now it's every 3 months, and now it's every 6 months. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so it's just an adjustment that she tests to say, oh, can you hear this better? It's like going, when you go to the eye doctor and they put those things in front of your eyes to see, is this better or is this better? A or B, is this better? Is this better? And sometimes you can hardly tell the difference and you guess. Well, that's how it is with her hearing. Is this better? Is this better? Do you hear this? What do you hear? Is this soft? Is this loud? And so it's really a fascinating subject, a fascinating thing to watch. Anyway, so we're doing that tomorrow. Well, then on Wednesday morning, I am flying out to St. George, Utah.
Oh, look at you.
For a retreat. And I am so excited. We're going to be going on, we're going to have a spa day. We're going to get a massage. Oh, very fun. We're going on a Jeep thing. We're going on a hike, and we're going on a helicopter ride. Never been on a helicopter.
Oh my God, Barbara. I have to give you so much kudos for that. I'm always nervous about going on a helicopter. Plane, I'm okay. Helicopter, different story. But wait to go.
I'm like,
oh, you're kind of nervous about it?
I'm a little nervous about it. Just because, heaven forbid, you get feeling ill. But I just said, I am just going to go. I am going to embrace being my senior. That I'm a strong, energetic, no nonsense, inspiring, outrageous rebel looking for my next adventure.
And that's
so when And that's an adventure. So when they asked, Barb, do you want to go on the helicopter ride? I was like, gee, do I? And then it was like, Barbara, for heaven's sakes, just do it. So I said yes. And now, of course, I'm like, oh, yike. But I'm going to do it. I figure they're going to strap me in.
He said, strap. Well, yeah. And then, I think, the biggest thing, which a lot of people tell me that has done it, is that first time when that thing, is going and it's real loud and you're getting in the first time and then you start rising up. They said that's where it's a little bit, but then once you get up, it's like it's okay because you find, it's kind of like you lift it up, so you're good after that. So I'm like, okay, just that first initial is gonna be, but after that you'll be fine. Yeah.
And you know what? If I'm not, oh well.
Just close your eyes and say, "Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, God."
That I'm gonna. It's like the first time I went snorkeling. Well, not one of the first, but I went snorkeling, but only just around the beach. Like the beach area in shallow water. Yeah. Well, this one time we went on a snorkeling tour where they drop you in the middle of the ocean on a reef.
So what did you see? I know you've seen a lot of.
Oh, it was amazing. Once I got over the first panic of, I'm in the middle of an ocean. And your mind can do absolutely crazy things with you. It was, I'm going to die. But the thing is that what it did for me though, in that moment, it was such a moment of panic that I am so empathetic now and sympathetic for people that have panic attacks. And I was blessed that I overcame it.
Yeah.
Because I already knew I had some of the strategies in place of how to overcome, but I had never experienced a panic attack until that moment. I knew about panic attacks. I knew how to get past them up here, but I had never experienced one myself until that moment.
Now, question. See, I'm curious now since you did this. So when they put you, when you go in the water, is it dark or is it?
No, it's a bright sunshiny day, but you're late but it was like I was going to drown because it was your mind doing something so totally different that it was like the equivalent of you being in the forest and being chased by a saber-toothed tiger. It's that same fight or flight, something totally different, totally outside of the realm that my subconscious did not feel safe.
Yeah.
So it gave me this, and now I realize that, and I understand that. We had learned about that, but that in that instant of first letting go of the boat. I mean, I had a life jacket on.
Yeah.
We had big life jackets on. There was no way under God's green earth that we were going to drown. But my subconscious tried to make me turn back, go back to where it was safe. And it was absolutely a phenomenal analogy for that's what happens when you start to do something new in your business, in doing your first speaking gig, starting to do this show. This was totally out of my comfort zone, and my mind and my brain did not like it. So it tried to give me a panic attack to stop, so to go back to safety. But I knew.
Yeah, I didn't know anything. You was just so flowing and stuff. I would have never knew that at the beginning stage that you felt that way. Wow.
Yeah.
Look at you now. You're just a pro. You're teaching other people how to do shows.
I'm teaching other people how to do show. Yeah, Carol. It's like she's now. I've created a monster. Did the first show with her, and now she has two more. And two more. But that's what happens in that moment of panic. That's what happens to people. If you are feeling that moment of panic, Just push through it, because you know what? On the other side of fear is the absolutely fantastic experience.
So true. So true. It's so true, Barbara.
And
I'm just so proud. I love, that's why I admire you so much, because you just take on things that, to say to yourself, you know what? I'm going to do this. I might feel a certain way. I might be, like you said, fearful or nervous or whatever. But you say, you know what?
City.
I'm going to get through it, around it, or over it. I mean, that's what some people say. I'm just going to just do this. And then when you do it, it's such this like revelation, like, wow, I'm so glad I did this.
I'm so glad I did this. However, on the other side of that too, that's when your brain says, oh, well, that was no big deal. It tries to take it away from you. Do not let your brain do that. No, this was a big deal. Yeah. I went, snorkeling in the middle of the ocean. That is a big deal. And you know what? When you realize that it is a big deal, I don't care what it is. If you are, walking a fence as a kid, the first time you walk the fence, you're nervous. What if I fall off and break something? Okay, fine. But you did it. You can look, and you are going to look back on these things that you have pushed through and said, these are the things that have pushed my life forward.
Yes.
This is where the excitement of life comes in. You're going to be able to look back and go, yeah, kudos to me. I did it. Pat yourself on the back if for something you've done. Celebrate it.
Thank you.
Because so often we beat ourselves up for the things. Oh, well, I didn't do that. So what? Let it go. You didn't do it. Now go do it, and pat yourself on the back when you do, and celebrate it.
And just to add to that, sometimes even other people tell you not to do it. That's even worse, because it's like now somebody else
let other people
to say, well, you shouldn't do that, Barbara. You shouldn't do that, Barbara Ellison or Barbara Beckley. I don't think so. Yeah. You said you have nervous, they'll start reminding you of the fear. Right. And you're like, okay, I don't need to be reminded. I'm having my own.
I've got enough of my own. Thank you.
Own stuff. Yes. I don't need you adding to it. And then I really don't get to it, that I might have missed out on an opportunity, because now I've been trying to work in with myself to move forward in it. And now you just threw some, wrench in the thing. So you have to make sure the people around you are open like you are.
Yeah. Well, how did you feel when you went out onto E360 TV? This is a TV show.
Yeah, I was.
We're part of it.
Oh, yeah, you reminded me. I was very nervous to the point where I signed up for it, and it took me 3 months afterwards to start it. That's how I feel.
To start it.
Because first I was in my mind saying, who am I? See,
who are you to start a TV show on a TV station?
And people don't know me. And, am I giving what, I was thinking to myself, they don't know me. And am I going to give stuff, that's going to help people? And, I've been everything. It was like self-sabotage. I was doing that.
Exactly.
And it was funny because it took my cousin to say, nobody didn't know Oprah. Nobody didn't know
exactly.
Oprah. She said
Oprah did not start out.
They didn't start by saying, oh, it's the Oprah show. And she was like, boom, it took years. It took years.
Exactly.
So when she reminded me that, I said, you know what? You're right. I got to start somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. And I bet Alona is going to be able to talk about the same thing, because she has a podcast too.
Yeah.
And yeah. And it's like,
that's why I call it
not everybody starts, you don't start at the top. You start at the bottom when nobody knows you.
And then I keep thinking about us, like you said, going back to our anniversary in June, 2 years. A lot of people start and stop. And I told myself, that's one thing I said, Barbara, one thing, I don't care what's going on in my personal life. If I start something like, that's really important, like this and other things, I want to be consistent in it, because people see the consistency, and they give you so many, so respect on that alone. That's why, like you said earlier, don't look at the perfection, just do it, and it will work itself out as you go. Because then when you think about it, you're so trying to be so perfect. We are sometimes that you're not getting started anywhere, because you're just trying to be so perfect.
Trying to be perfect.
Yeah, I'm like, no, 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 no. So, oh, what I mean, I'm curious. Okay, before we bring on our wonderful guest here, our queen here that's coming on, what did you? I mean, how long were you down? I'm going back to when you got in the ocean. How long were you down there?
Oh, we probably snorkeled. Oh, for an hour. Oh, a couple of hours. It was absolutely. We were on a reef. It was the most beautiful. The to see the fish. The you see those movies of all of these bright colored fish and the coral. We were on a coral reef.
Wow.
It was absolutely amazing.
Mm.
One of the highlights of the trip itself, and because we were down in we were down in I think we were in Punta Cana.
Ooh.
And it was absolutely amazing.
I am so glad that you let the fear pass and you were able to enjoy that, because you need.
Don't miss out on and I think Alona will say this too. Don't miss out on the big things, the big milestones in your life because of a fear that will go away, because you can't conquer it. Our brain is stronger than we are. Is stronger than the fear.
Wow. So let's bring this wonderful queen. We got to let our sponsors do their thing, and then we're going to bring on Alona and talk to her and get some insight.
Yeah.
Deborah L. Morrison is a TEDx speaker, best-selling author, and international motivational speaker. She's a recipient of the Marquis's Who's Who Women of Influence Award. A seasoned, life-centered certified financial planner and empowered retirement coach, she partners with people to maximize their return on life, not just their investments. Deborah has been featured on CNN, ABC, and MSG's Metro Money Television. She's also been quoted in the Wall Street Journal, USA Today, the New York Times, Business Week, Money Magazine, Ladies' Home Journal, Nations, Business, CNN, Money, Reader's Digest, Kiplinger's, and more. Deborah She teaches that it's possible to live in the moment and also save for the future. Known for her easy-to-understand speaking style, Deborah combines sage wisdom with refreshing humor.
And we're back.
Hi, Alona.
Hello, ladies. How are you? Such a great conversation I was hearing on the backstage. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, welcome.
I have to give Alona kudos. I was on her podcast. We had such a good time.
Oh,
and it was just such a gracious host. So thanks for doing that. And so thanks for coming on and being our guest.
Yes. And Alona, just to let you know, I call all women queens. So if you hear me say that, then that's pertaining to you.
Yep.
And
I appreciate that. Love that. Yeah, because we are in our own way. We are in our own way, in our own authentic way, with what we have chosen to serve and make an impact on. I believe we're all queens. And I love your topic with confidence, because we don't always feel that way.
Right.
Especially when we're going into new situations. It's like, feel the fear and do it anyway. And it just personally amazes me as well that I've overcome so much and I still feel the fear. So it's like, you know what? We're just going to have to live with it. And in order, the only way to make an impact and be bigger and really, show up in the world and do what we want to do is just feel the fear and do it anyway, and kind of overcome our survivor brain, which is like always there telling us there's some sort of danger that's going to happen on the other side. How many interviews I've been on, and I still have like the little flurries, before each one. So it reminded me, when you said that, Barbara, as well. So it's kind of, it's such an important topic, I think, because, especially with what we've chosen to do, whether it's whatever field we're in, business, personal growth, personality, whatever topic, we, in order to do big things in the world, we have to really learn how to overcome our fears so that we come out on the other side and increase our confidence, our impact, and just go through the process and do it over and over, because it never really stops. You really never really get rid of fear. Every new level of growth and comfortability that we come through.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I heard when people, like you said, we're talking about fear and what stops us, and they said it's supposed to be a mechanism in our bodies. It's just there for a reason. because it kind of gives us that little like, okay, just make sure like a protection. But see, a lot of times we use that mechanism of protection and it can go deeper into not getting things done or being so fearful that that you're stagnated, that you're like stuck. Because you're like, no, I better not do it. I better not do it. But we don't use it in the right manner, I think. And a lot of times we don't, like I said, some people use fear as an excuse. Well, I'm not gonna do it because I'm fearful of it. Well, fearful is not because for you not to do it. It's just to give you that's like an open item. Say, okay, I'm doing this. It might be a little bit nervous, or it's gonna give maybe rethink, but I'm still gonna do it. So people they put fear in that negative sense, and then that's when the excuse of you're not moving forward, because now you're using fear as that big monster instead of just using it as this is something in you just to let you know that just be aware. That's basically what it is supposed to do. Just be aware. Be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of what you're doing, but still move forward. It's just telling you be aware, but keep moving forward. It's a safety mechanism. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's good that we have it, because without fear, we'll get into dangerous situation. We'll get into situation, but it's really building that intuition to really understand. Because I see this in my clients all the time with growing their business, and a lot of times is because they're growing beyond their comfort zones to reach a certain amount of figures and make a certain impact or increase their visibility or whatever needs to be done in order to make a bigger impact. Sometimes, we confuse resistance with alignment. It's like, well, this does not feel good. But I'm like, yes, it's not supposed to feel good because you're growing. So a lot of times, I think we need to have more clarity over, when we're going beyond something that's out of our comfort zone, you're supposed to feel resistance. And it doesn't feel like you're not in alignment with your vision. It's just because you are moving, you're growing, you're grooving, you're going through that process. So that you can come out on the other side and really build the skills. Honestly, I believe at this point in my journey, as well in my experience with what I do, everything is a learnable skill. And the more you practice it, the more it becomes second nature, and the fear never really goes away, but you are more confident and you kind of have that certainty that, okay, been there, done that. This is just part of the process. And I just know every time you get comfortable, we want to reach in for new level, which is the great part, right? It's like, oh my gosh, I got comfortable now. It's new
time to go forward.
Time to go forward. That's why business growth is like the best self-development journey in entrepreneurship, because it's like you constantly have to innovate, you have to test, you have to grow, you have to constantly, think of new solutions to problems, improve everything you're doing. So it keeps you on your toes at all times, for sure.
So true. It's funny because I'm glad you said it, Ilona, because I know when I start feeling comfortable in something, that's when I know, okay, Barbara, you're not growing. You need to be pushing somewhere. Where are you missing something? And because why are you feeling so comfortable here? It'd be like, I'm all snuggy and everything. It feels really good here. I don't want to go nowhere else. No, you can't feel that way. If you're trying to move to the next level in life, you have to keep growing. So I'm so glad, Ilona, that you said that. That's important.
One of the things that I have found, and goes along with what Ilona said, is being in alignment, is that if you are trying to compare yourself to somebody else, you are going, that's when you are really going to feel the fear, because it's not, you're not in alignment with what your God-given thing that you're supposed to be doing. So consequently, how can you do something? Because you're trying to be what we started out the show with, you're trying to be the perfect of somebody else.
Yeah, and you're not in their shoes and you're not in their experience. And a lot of times we're not giving ourselves credit because we're comparing our year 2 success to the year 30. And I love what you ladies said at the beginning of the show before I joined you, that success is like 15 years in the making. All these people we admire, Oprah, as you mentioned, all these amazing queens and women that we look up to and we admire, they had to go through the same process. This is a journey. It takes time. It takes consistency. It takes trust. It takes intuition. So we have to, I think we're always looking for shortcuts as human beings. How can I get the next trick to grow my business in 30 days? How can I, get the next trick to feel better and lose 30 pounds or whatever it might be?
Yeah, if I could just lose 30 pounds by tomorrow, it would be perfect.
Oh yeah, that'd be wonderful.
I would have my perfect life. But we're not, we're not focused in the being. Like, what would you need to do to get to that goal? So I think we need to really understand that everyone that we admire, it took them years and years to go through the process to deal with the same things we're talking about, the fears, the imposter syndrome. Every new level requires a new thinking, new mindset shifts, who we surround ourselves with, constantly learning, constantly improving, so that we can get the recognition for what we do in private. A lot of times 80% of the work we do is in private, and 10% is the credit that we get in public. A lot of times, because we have been so consistent and persistent and pushing through and disciplined in private, when no one is seeing our anxiety and our worries and our days that we feel like giving up. I still feel like giving up daily, which is insane because I love what I do, but it just goes to show you that there is no perfect day. It's not like you achieve something and you're like, okay, I lost the 30 pounds. I already made 100K in my business. Now I can just relax. I made $1 million in my business. Now I can relax. It's no such thing. And you never will be happy just with the outcome. So we just have to learn to grow through the process and really tie that big why to something beyond ourselves so that we can stay fulfilled. Otherwise, it just becomes, chasing the next shiny object. And of course, you'll never be happy because there's always someone better, faster, at a different level that we can compare ourselves to. It's so toxic. So really staying, in our journey. I even wrote my latest book, Connecting the Dots Backwards. And as I feel like every experience in my personal life has been really the trampoline, and I wouldn't remove a comma or a dot out of everything that's happened, because it's shaped the character and the experiences that I am preparing for today. And what I'm doing now is helping me, for the next experiences in my journey of what I want to achieve as far as my vision. So stay focused in your journey. So individual. Everyone has their own unique experiences. And I think the more we grow spiritually, I don't know if you ladies have noticed this, but it's like you really are there to connect your own dots in your life. Because if you pay attention, the signs given to you are not given to anyone else. So if you are conscious about what you're doing and you're constantly connecting the dots, I'm so aware now. Like everything I listen to is like, okay, I need to hear this now, because this is going to be a clue now to the next thing I want to do. So we need to just go backwards. And, once I discovered that, I said, well, this is not about anybody else. This is just me staying aware and in growth process and also in awareness, so that I connect my own dots towards my ultimate vision or whatever else I'm trying to achieve. And it's with seasons. You achieve something a season, and then you're looking to grow in the next thing. So it's like constant improvement, I think, until we're physically no longer here and we are spiritually here. I believe in that kind of stuff. So that's my perspective on that.
Well said. Absolutely the truth.
Wonderful.
Well said. Because, and that's exactly what happens. People get so caught up in, like we talked about it before, we get so caught up in what we're not. We don't celebrate what we are. And it's that things that we are and that we're becoming, we're learning to be. I mean, and that's why sometimes I love hearing the stories of some of the famous people out there that started out, like I'll tell one story that I heard one time from his own mouth. Blair Singer and Robert Kiyosaki, I mean, big people, they in the space, and they were doing their first event together, and nobody came.
I've heard that story.
And it was like they said, yeah, but they didn't let it stop them. Oh well, it's okay. What can we do better to promote our next event? And now Robert Kiyosaki, I mean, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, yike. And it was just so fun to hear when Blair said that to us. And it was like, yeah, nobody came.
Yeah.
And it was just,
I love that. That is exactly my experience when I started my coaching locally, because I started locally after I pivoted from corporate to my own business. And I wanted to get a group of women together. And I wasn't even evolved into the business coach and strategist I have now. I think we also grow through a lot of different things in our business. But, you know, I didn't even know how to market myself. I just kind of went through my network and invited a few people, and 3 of them bailed out. Like I had 5 people on the list, and like 3 of them last minute, you're like, you know, I have this to do, I have that to do. But I showed up, and I had to make what I did with that, you know, with that beginning experience about the fact that I believe in what I'm doing and I'm showing up. And that's what matters despite the results. And that's actually insane. You know, and I love that they also had those prior experiences, because again, when you're starting something new, you don't always have the audience and the network and all of that, which is so important. And we learn as we grow and evolve. But that should not, again, after every big win, it's like 100 lessons along the way that took us to get to that bigger win. So really, you know, staying with the process, staying in the game, staying in there, believing in what we do. I think that's very, very important. Believing, having such conviction for what we do and the difference it makes in the world, so that all these, you know, things along the journey just become about, you know, putting our mind to work. And it's like, okay, how can I improve that next time? Who can I contact next time? How do I reach my, now we know better with business? I mean, I wasn't always aware, like ideal audience and all of that. You know, I just like, as long as I could just like help like a few women, you know, I just wanted to bring people that were in my experience together and share what I really knew at that point in time. So, but without even having the clarity and the focus and all these things that I have today. But again, it's really giving yourself kudos for just showing up. A lot of times it's 80% of just showing up no matter what, because you still learn something about yourself and your tenacity and your determination, that, you know, now you know. I also think it's a great thing that these things happen to us, because now I can relate to someone that is having that experience.
Exactly.
Because I've been there, done that, and it's okay. Just stay patient. You know, because if I had all the success right away, it's like you can't relate to anybody, because that's not a normal journey, you know, and you don't even appreciate that because it came to you so fast. It's like someone winning the lottery, win $1 million, because you have never been through the process of making that. You're going to go back and, you know, spend that on whatever, because
and most people lose it.
Fast, and most people lose it.
Yeah.
Oh.
You just reminded me, you, Barbara, and alone about, you know, at the beginning, and if people are not there, like you were saying that, you know, you put together a coaching, you know, webinar, or, you know, even in Clubhouse, if you're in a Clubhouse and you're doing a room, or just if you're speaking for the first time, and you might have like 1 or 2 people. Somebody told me a long time, they said, Barbara, when all that happens, just imagine that you do it just like you're speaking to 1 million people. They say you go out there, you do your best, because that's practice for you. So when the people do come, you're already prepared, because you've been on that stage talking just like they were there in the first place. So now that helps me out now. So when I come into a room, if I'm speaking, there's like maybe 2, 3 people or whatever, I don't even get nervous or upset about it anymore. It's like, you know what? I'm going to talk like there's 1 million people in this room. And so those 3 people get that experience, because they're there. They're there to hear you. And that's kind of unfair to them, that all of a sudden now I'm going to pull back because I just see 3 people. No, those 3 people need what I'm, you know, there to give. So that's why, you know, you do it like you're in a room of 100.
And you never know who those 3 people are. I heard a story just the other day of, and now couldn't even tell you the name, but he was doing like a tent revival. And only 1 person showed up to that tent revival. And he was starting to feel kind of like, oh, yike, only 1 person is here, he said, but he had the same attitude. I am going to give it my all. This is going to be absolutely the most fun thing. And they're going to have the best experience of their life. And you know who the 1 person was? Billy Graham.
Wow.
Talk about the part of 1.
It still gives me God bumps when I
when you he was the goosebumps. It's like, ooh.
Can you imagine? And I don't even know the guy's name now. I'll have to look it up. But only one person. It was this tent. He was doing a tent revival in this town, and the one person was Billy Graham.
Wow.
Whoa.
There's many more people under his influence. Because again, even by the power of networking, we always forget, and we always focus on the
never
one
know.
person in front of us. But
Exactly.
how much network do people have that they
People
can
talk.
with? For sure. I get reminded of this as well on social media because I teach a lot about marketing, content marketing in my programs and with my clients. And a lot of times when you're building a new audience, you don't have, much traction and engagement because you have to build that, just like anything. So, we talk so often about, just the power of one. As long as one person showed up, you still went through the motion, you still went through the process, you still went through the clarity of the messaging that you're trying to portray out there, because we know everything is messaging, right? It's even with our content, it's how we actually portray what we teach, how we deliver, how our audience relates with that, understanding our audience and all of that good stuff. But the power of one person at the beginning, you're going to do a live with just you and yourself and I, and it's okay. There's someone that's going to replay it live, maybe down the line, but
a year later.
Matter. Exactly 18 months it takes after these are, and I read so much on these statistics because they help. It's like, okay, now I know that that's kind of how to help other people as well. But it takes 18 months, like 18 months before I did my podcast for 18 months and put it out there and improved it along the way, because of course it wasn't at the level that it's constant, it's an involvement. 18 months before I did my live and got any traction on it. I had my first 1, 2, 3, 4 people, but again, because I didn't have the consistency and also the clear messaging and understand really how to align what I wanted to do with my audience, I had to do it, just show up no matter what for 18 months and put it out there and stay consistent, because I had to stay focused on, even if no one shows up, this is about me. I'm here practicing the skill, going live on video and speaking. Like, how important is the skill today? And actually now thinking back, I'm like, I'm glad it wasn't a lot of people, because I have evolved along the way, with my skill in speaking as well. So, everything happens for a reason. You just have to show up. And then, of course, I'm not saying that you stop and you don't learn how to market yourself. I think that's very important as well, right? You have to learn skills, how to bring in more audience and how to impact more people, because this is all things that we can learn. But when you are just starting out, it takes 18 months for anything that you've done, like a passion project, any project you start, a magazine, a podcast, I don't know, a live show, whatever you're starting, it takes 18 months for you to build trust with your audience and for the audience to start to really pay attention to you. Because on the marketing language, it takes 16 touch points for you to consistently see you 16 times before someone starts to actually pay attention and you become top of mind for them, because of all these other things that we're dealing with, the distractions and where our mind is a lot of times. So just knowing these things on the back end, it kind of just relax. And for me, it's like I love understanding the figures behind, because then it's like, okay, that's kind of what it takes, because it takes away from the discouragement. It takes away from like, I'm doing something, I'm not getting back the reward, because again, we all can go there. I go there sometimes too. I have to check myself, because we want the instant, like I did the work, like where's the result? But being an entrepreneur, and I was an employee for 13 years, so it's such different mindsets. When you're an employee, you haven't, so you're getting paid, whatever you're doing, you're learning on the job, you're growing. That's a different thing. You have the safety. But when you're an entrepreneur, a lot of times you're testing, you're doing, but with no tangible results, and you're not even getting the income a lot of times. So you have to, keep your mind really sharp and really in the game, and really, mindset shift a lot of things that you're doing, because obviously the result that you'll be getting takes time and consistency. And then of course you will see it eventually, but it's not so instant gratification from the work that we do. 18 months of putting something out there consistently in order to start to get even any traction. So those are some of the things on the back end.
This is awesome. We're going to have you back, because with our time, we just got a few more seconds left. But Alona, I just want to real quickly just tell them who you are, and I'll put how they can contact you on the bottom.
Yeah, so I'm a business strategist. So what I do is I help purpose-driven entrepreneurs scale to 6 and 7 figures, and I focus on in my process with positioning, branding, marketing, and sales strategies so they can grow to those levels. So they don't have to sacrifice their income and happiness for their mission. A lot of times, purpose-driven entrepreneurs are very gifted and are very service-oriented, but might need these strategies and all these other the process part of things of how to market themselves, put themselves out there, the sales process as well, so that they can, monetize and bring in the income as well, so they can make a bigger impact. Most purpose-driven entrepreneurs like myself like to give back and do philanthropy and do good work in the world. Obviously, we need the money and the income so that we can, get all these things done. The best way to find me is in my community. I'm big on community. So it's on Facebook. It's called Badass Mission Driven Entrepreneurs Community on Facebook. And that's where I put out my best content, and we do amazing things with the members as well. We have a lot of events where entrepreneurs can connect with one another and really share their mission with the world and make a bigger impact. Thanks so much for having me today. It was amazing. Great conversation.
Oh yes, Queen. This is wonderful. Like we said, we always want to have you back. So Barbara is going to basically reach out to you again to see schedules.
We'll do that. Yes.
Will be my pleasure.
Back.
Because there's so much rich information to be, and when you can get other people's perspective, because in some ways we're saying the same things, but we all say it slightly differently. And sometimes it's just one word.
Yeah.
And people can take that one word and go, oh, that's how. And I love when I see the light bulb go on.
Maybe I'll come back and speak about how to, grow a business out of our gifts and passions. I think that's something that all of us are trying to do. I chose to be in business because I wanted to do meaningful work, and there is no limits to what I can achieve and the impact that I want to make. So maybe the next time it could be that. But I love that you said that, Barbara, because that's why I don't believe in traditional competition. We all have such different, unique experiences. Everyone connects with something different amongst one of us. And the one world makes 2 millimeter shifts, makes an impact and a difference in someone's life, to see something differently and make them want to take action and really move forward. So you just never know. It's like the lottery. Business is like lottery. It's like you never know who you're speaking to. You never know who you're impacting. You just show up, you serve, you have, the audience in mind. You have to love what you do. And then the rest just becomes about just connecting the dots and really, moving along that journey for sure.
I had to write that down. Show up and serve. I love it. That's a little note on the side of my little notepad now. Show up and serve. And you that's just all, you just put it all in one. That's what it's all about. Showing up in your gifts and serving others.
And serve others.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we will be back. Just to let everybody know, this is Time to Shine Happiness Show with the BBs and our wonderful guest today, Ilona, and she's the queen, as I always call Lady Queens. And she will be back. I'm putting it out there to the earners already. And with that, Barbara, any last thoughts for you or anything coming up for you?
No, just I'm looking forward to vacations, and just pray for me in the helicopter ride.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine. So, see everybody next Tuesday. Take care.
See you next. Bye, everybody.